In the bottom left side, we have that blue Protoss from Team Blazer. It is Krystianer.
And his opponent here in the upper right, from Russia with love for B100 Esports, he is Vanya. And Kozan, if you were to describe the way Vanya plays, tell me, how would you do it?
It's rough, man. I don't get to see all that much Krystianer plays. I mean, I might be a bit, how do you say, spoiled with the types of players continuously that I get to cast. Krystianer, it's not among them that much.
Well, that's good because I asked you about
How would you say? How would you put it? I think the question would be better fitted for you.
Well, anyway, that's good, Kozan, because I asked you about Vanya. But Vanya, he's kind of
No, sorry.
he's a funky player, right? He is not your he's not your standard Zerg. He is much more cut out of the cloth of like a Bly or a young Yakov or something. One of these Eastern Bloc or Eastern European players that they don't believe in building their hatcheries in their natural, maybe not even building in their third. No, their hatcheries are best built in their opponent's bases. Now that we're not going to see that this game, but Vanya, he is an incredibly aggressive Zerg. He's got a bunch of really funky builds. We were actually talking about in the last PvZ, and I understand microbial shroud is a rather controversial topic, but Vanya was very much making it work against these two Stargate builds a couple months ago, where he was going that 52, 56, 62 Hydra microbial shroud all in. So that's the kind of stuff that Vanya does. He looks at the game in just a little bit of a different way, and we get some funky stuff indeed. But as for Krystianer, yeah, I have far less experience. I know he wins a lot of a cock of the walks, but other than that, again, I don't have as much of experience as well. So I'm excited to see what he is bringing to bear in this tournament.
It's fun overall because like the Russian scene, it has a pretty reasonable sum of Zerg players there as well, and they definitely do develop their own types of plays a little bit, right? They're talking amongst one another, and you do see different things. It might be slight, right? But they definitely do different things than the European and the Korean Zergs, which is always very fun to see. Then later on, something, you know, both of those regions still being able to compete and doing well, even though they have those distinct differences.
Oh man, nice trap there from Vanya. Now he will lose one drone, but only one. And notice there, he body blocked the Adept against the gas with a couple Zerglings. So yeah, he only had 2 Zerglings, which you want 4 to make sure you get the kill, but he made sure that the Adept was really not able to find the mineral line. And yeah, he had to morph one spore, and he unfortunately did lose one worker, but that could have been worse, especially considering it was only 2 Zerglings. So nice little move there from Vanya. As Krystianer, well, we talked about standard builds. We talked about maybe playing a little bit less standard. Krystianer, he's just got a Void Ray on the way. We will see an Oracle after this, I got to assume. And now we're just looking to see, yep, there we go. Third base is on the way in a second as soon as this probe stops being stuck in the wall. There we go.
Decided to start up another Void Ray and then he cancelled it.
Huh.
Interesting. Maybe a misclick. Probably a misclick at that point, right?
I think that was more, yeah, I don't think he wanted the Void Ray. He just wanted the minerals for the third base. So
yeah.
And I guess it won't be an Oracle, so just pure Void Ray style here, which second Stargate on the way. This is the build we've seen, I don't know, 100 times, a couple hundred times by now.
Yeah, we saw Mana do something quite similar just before, right? Going for those Void Rays here as the opening. You want to have that first Void Ray already patrolling around. Make sure that it becomes very difficult for the Zerg to see what is coming. Even though you know it's Stargate, it's still difficult for the Zerg to tell exactly what's coming his way, right? You don't know, is it going to be carriers, Void Rays? Is it still going to be just like some harassment from an Oracle? You can't really tell.
Yeah, I mean, Vanya did see that the third base went down right around 350, 355, and he sees the Void Ray on the map, so he's, at least in broad strokes, he knows what's happening here. He's like, yep, third base, 350, Void Rays on the map. Okay, it's 2 Stargate Void Ray. We're gonna see, I don't know whether we're gonna see 6 Void Rays into a ground transition, which is, of course, the standard, whether it's gonna be Disruptors, whether it's gonna be Storm. These are branches in the tree that Krystianer can look to go down. But for the moment, Vanya knows what he's got to do, right? Roach Warren on the way, bunch of Queens on the way. Roach is on the way here. We're just going to see a queen walk across the map as Vanya has been pushing his creep through the speed zones rather efficiently.
Yeah, and a couple of roaches here being produced by Vanya. He's aggressively spreading that creep through the middle. Wondering if this is just gonna start coming heads to heads. It looks like it is. All those queens starting to march as well. That's the Ravagers now being built. Right, Vanya just wants to stop this Protoss from getting himself into a bigger air army. Circling is there, a couple of them trying to nibble away through the wall. Unfortunately, the Adept's already there to guard it.
Yeah, Kozan, I got a question for you. Would you say that Vanya is looking for Vanyable positions in the Protoss defense to make something happen?
I would hope so.
Yeah, we do have the queens here now, and oh, there we go. One Ravager, it's going to get targeted down, but will not die because there are plentiful transfuses where that came from. And I noticed, okay, so Vanya, he's only attacking into the naturals. He knows that static defense had to be spent on the third base, which means it's not there in the naturals. One gateway will go on down between Zerglings, can get on top of things, but now we have a shield battery overcharge. So Vanya, his goal is just to spread the damage out, right? Get damage on as many things as possible so the shield battery overcharge can only heal so much. As the Bios, they're looking to land, but the queens are starting to go down just a little bit. And shield battery overcharge, though, is just about done. How many queens do we still have on the map? We have 9 queens here, more walking across the map, and there is still a lot of energy. This is not as really not as holdable as Krystianer was first making it look.
A couple of Biles there landing onto the Void Race, and that's a big deal. You don't want to have that happen. That might make this still winnable for Vanya. Otherwise, those Void Race, they seem to kind of be winning out over the Queens as they are losing energy. Still a couple of those Biles landing again, though, and putting them in the yellow and red health. This base already being evacuated. Quite a lot of probes went down. I mean, Vanya, he might not break his opponent, but he's definitely doing quite a bit of economic damage here.
He has not broken Krystianer, but he has made Krystianer broke here. As the natural goes down, 12 workers go down. We're going to see even more, and I love this, right? He's just building more and more Zerglings. Actually, he's droning now, but for a while they're just building more and more Zerglings, realizing that, yeah, the Roaches, the Ravagers, the Queens, they're not going to do a lot, not anymore. But, well, I can just flood Zerglings. And if I flood Zerglings, you just lose a lot of workers, and that's a little bit sad here, but I like this recall. We'll keep the third base alive. So this is now a 2-base Protoss, not going to be a 1-base Protoss. Yeah, he's only got 38 workers, but now this is a lot of Void Rays, right? This is 11 Void Rays. And that means maybe he can do something moving across the map. That being said, there are Hydras on the way. And Hydras, well, they fight Void Rays pretty well, wouldn't you say?
That's gonna help out a ton indeed, yeah. And he's getting the upgrades for them as well. He's already got a good amount of creep ready, so you have to wonder, Vanya, you might just be able to bulk up another army with those Hydras, as you said, and then just start marching in again. Keeping eye on the production tab overall. There's a single drone being made and a new hatchery as well. Maybe Vanya trying to ensure his position before he will go in for another push.
Yeah, Vanya just going for round 2 of that all in. He's going to sit here at 58 workers for the time being. More Zerglings, more Hydras on the way. And granted, he needs that anyways, right? Because we have 11 Void Rays moving across the map. Soon to be 13. But there are enough Hydras here to say, yeah, Void Rays, you don't want to take this fight. Krystianer, you got to run away. You do not want to take that fight. But no, he will anyways.
That was rough.
Oh, that was bad. That was, okay, that battle report's not updated. Battle report, please. Not, okay.
The battle's over, battle reports. Do the report now.
There we go. So 4 Void Rays for 4 Hydras. Not a cost-efficient trade there for a 2-base Protoss. After all, GG Vanya takes game 1.
Right, taps out. Yeah. That army of Vanya, it was coming, and it knew that it was going to be able to get quite a bit of damage done. Void Rays overstaying their welcome, going in aggressively, and then not quite finding their best maneuvers overall, but yeah. Yeah, Vanya taking game number 1. Not unexpected, right? Not unexpected. I wouldn't be surprised if he takes game number 2 in somewhat of a similar fashion. Wondering if Krystianer is going to try something entirely else, though, from the Void Ray opening here. In game number 2 as well. It is on 2000 atmosphere, so you mentioned that before as well. It is quite the hefty macro map, right? Usually the playstyle where people lean towards on this one.
Yeah, and you know what? I feel like the vanilla 2 Stargate build that we saw Krystianer do in the previous game, well, that's a build that was so powerful. It was winning so many games against Zergs for about a month. And then Zergs realized, okay, well, we want queens. And players that are still playing the vanilla build, right? The build of, yeah, 350 third base. I immediately get a second Stargate. We're going to go up to a lot of Void Rays, yada, yada, yada. It's not working anymore. It needs to be evolved, right? We see Zest doing the 2 Stargate build that Mono won a game with. We see 2 Stargate, where's my hand? There we go. 2 Stargate Voids against, but they're not, right? It's Adepts behind it. It is Blink Stalkers. There are a bunch of different options, but when by you know exactly how the entire game is going to go based off of a third base timing scout, that means that the Zerg has so much room to optimize, and that's not that great for the Protoss player that really just needs to prevent the Zerg from being as greedy as they are. Now we do have game number 2 loaded on up here. It is once again Vanya versus Krystianer. Let's see whether Krystianer has something a little bit different up his sleeve as we get into game 2 on 2000 Atmospheres. And here we are. Spawning in the bottom left in the red, he is, for B100 Esports. Give it up for Vanya.
His opponents for this match right here, the second one of the series, the Blue Protoss from Team Blazer. It is the German-Polish Krystianer.
Trying to polish off Vanya in this game number 2. Or Polish off Vanya. I'm sorry. I actually, I'm not sorry, but if I say I'm sorry, maybe chat gets less mad at just terrible jokes throughout the day.
I mean, they will be angry no matter what, right? Yeah. It's 2 unfamiliar faces. That's just gonna happen no matter what.
I think they're angry that I'm not Elijah Wood.
Yeah, well, I was a little bit disappointed when I found out too.
Yeah, you know, man, I could be a hobbit. I could be going to, I could be taking you on a trip to Isengard right now, but instead I'm taking, yeah. So sorry, friends. We don't get 11sies today.
Unfortunate. You know what? It's just it just shows people just want to watch The Lord of the Rings again rather than StarCraft 2, I suppose. I don't know what it is about. But you know what? If I were you, I would just stick that one in your pocket and enjoy the compliments coming in for those.
I have never gone as a hobbit for Halloween. Absolutely not. Never happened. But anyways,
very fun people, the hobbits. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, man, if my culture just allowed me to eat like 5 meals a day and be healthy out of it, yes, please. That sounds like the best way to live a life.
Yeah. Just like an entire civilization or like a species that is just, you know, a little bit inebriated throughout their regular day, and just like a festival kind of atmosphere. You know, just drinking, having fun, people well, anyway, enough about hobbits. We are watching some Stargate action here coming out of Krystianer, so it is a bit more of that same opening, isn't it? We'll have to see if it will transfer once again, as you said, into that second Stargate as well. I don't know. What are you seeing so far?
Well, again, we talked about this in the Monasteries a little bit. The original build, right? The Trap said, yes, this is how I'm going to beat every Zerg this time. I'm going to win 2 tournaments in a row. Well, he went for, it was Warp Gate into Stargate, right? That allowed him to get a little bit more ground presence earlier on, but very quickly, a lot of Zerg players, or a lot of Protoss players said, yeah, I don't really want to do that. I like getting my quick oracles. So it's going to be Stargate into Warp Gate here for Krystianer once again. And look at this, though. He's going to, I think, actually, no, we're going to have the Adepts plan anyways. I was going to say he was going to look to pair his Adepts with his Oracle to get more damage done. But yeah, now the Adepts, they're going to go on into the natural, shade on into the main. How many workers? Oh, they're going to get 3 workers. No, they're going to get 4 workers here. This is actually so big here for Krystianer. Wait, is he going to get 6?
Stop!
7?
Stop
7?
it now, Vanya! Stop losing drones!
Okay, that is, normally you'll lose 1 to 2 if that happens. That was 6. Yeah. That is, I think that's the most I've seen 2 Adepts get in quite a while here. So Vanya, I mean, the game's not over, right? But Vanya, he does not want to take that amount of damage. And when we're looking at these Skytoss styles, right? One of the goals, one of the things you're looking at is saying, yeah, if I can get worker damage done, if I can slow my opponent down enough, right? If I can get 6 workers, if I can get 8, 10, 12 workers, whatever, that's where I want to be, right? Because that slows down the queen walk. That takes just enough queens out of it. Maybe it says, I walked with 1 less queen, or I walk 30 seconds later. So Krystianer, I mean, you saw he made the hold happen, quote unquote. He just lost a base for it. Maybe if that build hits 30 seconds later when he has 2 extra Void Rays, maybe he doesn't lose the base. So
yeah. It's gonna come down to the wire now because of that. Indeed, 2 more drones going down. Normally, you know, 2 drones, not that big of a deal, but on top of those other 6 already, I'd say every single drone matters a lot more right now.
Absolutely. Now, this is a much later third base here, and a second Stargate on the way. This is also a much later second Stargate, so we're gonna have a 5-minute third base here. Krystianer, are you going for 2-base carrier like we saw Mana do?
Wait, I don't know. We're not seeing the fleet beacon just quite yet. There is the upgrade for the air weapons. That is usually gonna translate into the carry. We do see it for the void rays being used as well.
Yeah,
I suppose it is gonna be void rays, right? Still no fleet beacon.
Yeah, this is a fork that we see Trap do on occasion, where he's like, yeah, on a map that's maybe a little bit shorter, where he understands that he's gonna get queen walked. He delays his third base, and in exchange, well, he goes on in and he gets a quicker +1, right? So it means the void rays are much better at dealing with the queens because of just how quickly they do damage. +1 is actually rather impactful indeed. But look how much these adepts are getting. This is ridiculous, actually. So, okay, well, not targeting fire down appropriately, but these 2 adepts are going to get 5-6 workers too. Oh, look at the transfuse on the drone. They're going to stay alive. But still, 5 workers for 2 adepts. 11 total workers have died. I think that was that an overlord? Yeah, okay, an overlord died as well.
Yeah.
Look at the supply here, right? Krystianer is doubling the army supply here of Vanya. He's roughly equal on income. This is actually a really good game here from Krystianer.
Look at the resources lost tab. Vanya, okay, that just changed it a little bit, but it's still twice as much minerals. It was 3 times the amount just before, but moving on forwards. Work accounts quite close together. A little bit uncomfortable for Vanya there. It's just probably gonna have to try and hold on here a little bit. Would expect Krystianer to be the player to start moving out with those void rays and such. And
look what's coming out of the Twilight here. It's not blink, it's charge, right? We don't see a Templar Archives on the way. There was a build that we saw that was pretty popular for just a little bit of time, where it was a void ray charge lot all in. Granted, we are going up to 6 gas here, so I'm not exactly convinced. As the third base goes down as well, Krystianer just turns on the beams, even without +1. Man, it's going from bad to worse here for Vanya.
Does seem to be that case. He is making two hatcheries, of course, after losing that one on the right side right there. It's just, yeah, I expect Krystianer to make a move out eventually. He's going to go in with those void rays and a ton of zealots as well. See if he can just start really dealing even more damage to Vanya here. Vanya, he's in the role of survival for the time being. He needs to still get his drone count up quite nicely, so wants to keep those queens ready. Maybe a little bit of counter aggression here and there, run by with links or something like that, but otherwise, I feel like he has to keep those Hydras at home near his bases here, and this is why.
There are no queens here, right? The Hydras there. Oh, I feel like it's worth losing two void rays for a lair, but no, he will not sell out for that third base. Well, we don't have a fourth base on the way just yet. But Krystianer has an insane timing, right? He's going to have his Templar Archive, so he will have Archons. He's going to have Charge. He's going to have +1. He's +1 for the air already. And yes, these Hydras will eventually go on in, and they will eventually have +1. But, I mean, these Void Rays can just fight the Hydras, right? There is no Carapace here. And now the Void Rays, they're going to force the Hydras to fight them. And yes, one Void Ray will go down, but all the Hydras are dead, which means this lair is dead. And Vanya, he's going to have his second base of the game sniped.
Down it does go. The infestation pit has been completed, so there's a little bit of tech available there, but it's going to be a while before any type of hive is going to start here. Vanya, things again going from just a bad situation to an even worse situation, and it just keeps worsening, it feels like.
Yeah, now, so we do have Templar Archives done. We don't have Storm yet on the way, which would be, I mean, man, if Krystianer had Storm right now, or maybe in like the next minute, think about how good that would be. So this one Void Ray gets, I think that just got 7 workers too. Void Ray's trying to fly into the main base. Now, this is not a fight you can take. There are too many Hydras here. You're going to lose too many Void Rays. Krystianer not backing up quite fast enough. But man, if Krystianer from here just got Storm, charged that Storm, right? With as many Void Rays as he has, he could just run across the map and win. But I'm not quite sure he feels comfortable with that. He says, look, I am in such an advantage here. Once we get into the late game, if I get there even or even ahead, I mean, late game Protoss against the Zerg player. There's a reason Zergs don't want to play it, but no. Okay, here come the Zealots. Do we have a Warp Prism? No, we don't, but we do have a Rebel, so no Warp Prism just yet. Now a bunch of Zealots are going to come running on in, getting on top of these Queens, getting on top of the Spores, but the Spores are actually doing a really good job of A, forcing the Zealots to not fight the Hydras, and B, it means the Void Rays cannot engage, but now we have Zealots on the right-hand side as well. This lair is going to get found. 13 workers go down. And the Zealots, they just run away. They say, bye-bye. We've done our damage.
Yeah, now workers going down absolutely everywhere. Vanya keeping his base alive here with the transfuse, but I mean, I'm trying to figure out a good way for Vanya to make this game go back into his favor, and it just, I feel like it comes down, Krystianer has to make a mistake somewhere. Walking in those, well, flying in those Void Rays here and there a couple of times, a little bit too much, losing too many of them. Moves like those, or mistakes like those, I feel like that could be the only option for Vanya almost at this stage. Yeah, Lurkers is a good call, I suppose, as well.
Yeah, Vanya has to take this game another like 10 to 15 minutes if he wants to have a shot in it. And Lurkers are the first step in that, right? You turtle down on 4 bases, you drop your spores, you build your economy back up. Maybe you can make something happen, because right now it's just Charge Led Archon. I mean, yeah, there's some Void Rays, but really it's just Charge Led Archon. So Lurkers are going to be very good against that. But Krystianer, he's never attacking in one place. He understands that Vanya can realistically only defend one side. So he's like, yeah, let's drop 10 Void Rays into your morphing hive. That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. It's working out more Zealots here. The Archon's pushing on through as well. Maybe too much being sent off to the right side flank, and Vanya losing more workers again. That base is going to live, but it also means that Vanya is not going to be able to get rid of more army units here. Does have everything together here once more. That's still a ton of Zealots chasing them down. Nice kiting though from Vanya, but once more, those drones numbers, they have just been endlessly on that left side of the screen here. 31.
Yeah, unfortunately there, all the Hydras were sitting at the front, so we had no roaches to tank. That means the Hydras, they just died, and Vanya, he held out, but not long enough. GG, Krystianer. He takes our second game.
Valiant effort there, but you know what? Vanya, he took so much damage early on. It seems like that's where he lost the game. Later on, that was just not that much you can do about that situation anymore, right? Valiant effort though, like you always like to see players still sticking it out, trying regardless of the situation, how bad it seems, right? It isn't a very important game. Sometimes those still turn around. Your opponent is a human as well, and they make mistakes. So trying to fish for those types of golden moments, it's always a good call in my book. But yeah, it's very difficult to actually have that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And as someone's saying, the economy is in shambles after this game. And after that prediction, I think, what was it? It was, yeah, what? 3-1, 62,000 channel points there on Vanya, 20K on Krystianer. So someone made a lot of money, or a lot of channel points. Man, I wish I could bet on channel points and then make money out of it. That sounds like fun, right? But anyways,
that would be.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. But now we do have game number 3. It's not ready yet. We're waiting for players to give the ready up. But it's going to be on Lightshade. That's a bit smaller of a map after the first 2 maps we saw this afternoon. What do you think here? Goes in. What do you think we're going to see?
It could be an opportunity for Vanya to try and be more aggressive, maybe with roaches. We've seen it in game number 1. He likes to do that style. If we see Krystianer once more attempting the Stargates and stuff like this, I wouldn't be too surprised if that is what Vanya goes for, right? I mean, if he already does it on a bigger map, on Lightshade, that is definitely going to happen. But yeah, I wonder, I'm not sure if we're going to see Vanya being the initial aggressor. I feel like I see him more often try to achieve the macro as well, and then if he does see an opportunity, he does go for that attack, but we'll see.
Yep. Again, I think you're right here, Krystianer. In part, he has played a similar build, not the same build, but he has played with a similar idea in both games 1 and 2. All right, so that means, yeah, we may see the same thing in game number 3, but Gozan, when we talk about best of 3s, we talk about best of 5s, often we see players, they do the same thing a couple times to put the idea in their opponent's head that they're going to do it again. Maybe we see Krystianer change things up just a little bit. We're going to have to find out, though, because we do have game number 3 loaded on up. It is Lightshade. Let's go.
All right, bottom right side. Yeah, jumped you there. All right, it's the Blue Protoss from Team Blazer, the Polish-German Krystianer.
And his opponent here in the upper left, in the red, looking to maintain his spot here in the top 4 of Group A. From Russia, he is Vanya. Man,
Yeah, he's become such a strong Zerg, hasn't he?
He really has. I don't know how much you follow kind of the tier 2-ish, the weekly tournament scene that's not things like the Open Cup. But I've been
He wins a lot of them, doesn't he?
There are a lot of it. It's hard to follow. But in the Exxon Cup and things like that, I've been casting a lot of Vanya over the last 6 months. And, you know, for a bit, he was looking good. I mean, he's always been looking good, but he was, you know, he was making round of 8. He was making round of 4, you know, but he was losing to Nina and Special and whoever else showed up in these Exxon Cups. And then he just kind of turned on a switch and he started winning them. He started making the finals time after time, taking him to game 5s, even if he didn't win. And he has really improved in a significant fashion over the last 6 to 9 months. So I'm very happy to see him here. Looks like we might see him for the first time. I believe actually, yeah, this would be the first time qualifying for the playoff stage here of DreamHack Masters. And man, what a great result there for the young Russian player.
Yeah, it seems a very similar kind of thing that is occurring, right? A kind of a pattern where maybe for a while I kind of lose track of Vanya, and then I find him again in a couple of games here and there, and it just seems like, all right, well, I think he's just got better even more, all right? Every time it's like, all right, yeah, he's really getting there. And going up against Krystianer here, the 1v1-to-1. I still believe that he has the favorites here, but well, previous game made me a little bit scary to still call it like that.
Yeah, I think he's still the favorite even after. Really, game 2 was, you know, things going wrong and things continuing to go wrong, and you lose 6 workers to 2 adepts, and you're like, oh god, I kind of lost this game in 3 minutes. And what are you gonna do there? I mean, Vanya tried valiantly to come back, but you know what, Kozan, I'm a bit upset, right? When we talked at the first game in this series, we're like, yeah, Vanya, he's a bit of a cheeky dude, right? He likes to do some funky stuff. I have not seen a single hatchery built where it was not normally made. And I get it, you know, Krystianer, he's at the bottom of the group. This is not where you show your fancy builds. You save him for a mana or a max pack to someone where you really are not expected to win. But man, I wanted to see one of the Vanya builds. You know, you block the natural with a hatchery. You block the wall with a hatchery and go for a speedling all in. Vanya's got some funky stuff, and I'm just so sad that I didn't get to see it.
Yeah, I mean, he can play this very well also, and I mean, maybe this is just what he's been practicing, right? So perhaps that is why he is trying to stick to this type of style right now. Only losing 3 workers here. It's a lot better.
Much better indeed. Notice that Vanya was able to trap one of the adepts against the mineral patches, so we got 300 degrees surround, and was able to make sure that didn't happen. So really nice little bit of micro there. And now we have the Oracle on the way. And, well, this Oracle, there are 2 queens in the natural, so it shouldn't get too much. We're going to see, like, 5 total workers die for the combined aggression. And that, well, not as much as Vanya got suffered in the previous game, but it's certainly more than Krystianer got in game 1. So, game 3, we can say it's probably the most even of the 3.
Yeah, it's an all right amount to, have sacrificed 2 adepts for. And the Oracle's still floating around, of course, can pick off a couple more if he so desires and finds an opportunity to do so. Krystianer once more opting for the second Stargate here, by the way. And we're still seeing a Void Rays being made after the Oracle here.
Yeah, this is Krystianer doing the same build he did in game number 2. Notice it's not a 350 third base, right? He's going to wait until about 5 minutes before he takes that, which means he will be able to afford +1. And I mean, this build worked for him in the last game, right? He got a very powerful composition. His Void Rays did tremendous work. I mean, they killed a third base, which just does not happen in this matchup, right? We talked about the 6 workers early on. That was a big deal, and it was. But the Void Rays being able to, like, snipe an actual base especially a third. I mean, sometimes they'll snipe a fourth, they'll delay a fourth, whatever. But an actual mining base was such a big deal there in that game. It really, yeah, 6 workers early, that put Vanya behind. Losing the base put Vanya dead. So we're going to have to see whether Krystianer is going to be able to make that happen. We do not have +1 on the way just yet. He has the gas for it. So I'm surprised we don't see that yet. But again, as you said, more Void Rays on the way. We have a third base on the way here. And Vanya, once again, he's not going for a Queen Walk. Not yet, at the very least. We do have a lair just about done. We have an Evo Chamber on the way. He wants to go a little bit later in this game.
Yeah, I think that's a good choice overall. The worker counts for Vanya here looking a lot more stable as it did the previous one. 10 more about to pop as well. Road speed is going up as is that a second Evo chamber? No, it's just the first.
Yeah, the Evo chamber is just a little bit late for kind of the. Normally you start +1, actually even a little bit before road speed if that's what you're going to go for. But now Vanya does have his 4th base on the way. And interestingly enough, Krystianer, I said, wow, he's doing the same build. He's not quite. No +1 air attack is on the way, so he will get another Overlord. Nice there. But, he's going to get a second one, too, because the Queens do not have the energy for a Transfuse. But anyways, this is going to be much more ground-focused style. We have +1 ground on the way. We have more Void Rays, sure. We're up to 9 Void Rays. That is a lot. There's +1, okay. So I guess Krystianer on this shorter map is just putting a little bit more of a focus on his ground force to make sure that he does not die. Right, to make sure that he does not lose to any sort of incoming all-in, make sure that he's charged and +1 just a little bit faster. But there we go. 3rd base was killed the last game. This 4th base should go down. There's really no saving it because the Queens do not have a Transfuse. And the Void Rays, well, they don't take, I mean, they lose to Queens, but they don't lose that fast. There we go. 4th base will get canceled, will be remade. But again, this is just buying time. Krystianer, he has now charged on the way, +1's on the way. He's getting those additional gateways. He's pretty happily on 62 odd workers. Maybe wants a couple more as he does continue to probe on up. But yeah, he's in a fantastic spot here in this game. He's not as good as he was in the previous game, right? He did not kill a 3rd base and I think it was like 23 workers by this point in the game. But still, this is.
You think he's still just gonna try to make this push again? Because we're seeing the charge in the production tab. The Twilight Council as well. Maybe Archon charge. You could attack again.
Right, because charge, yes, charge is good, and charge is what you need against all. Oh, he's gonna get the 3rd base. The Queens are not here in time. There's one Transfuse, and oh no, he's gonna inject instead of transfusing Vanya.
He injected it. Maybe these eggs will keep it together. Unfortunately, no, not sticky enough.
Well, now I was gonna say, yeah, I don't think he's far enough ahead. I don't think he's done enough damage to just go for that game-ending charge lot Void Ray push that he did last game. But you know what? You kill a 4th base, you kill the 3rd. Yeah, absolutely. I think you can make that work. Now, it should be noted here. Oh, he's going to get some more drones too. Nice job there. It should be noted that we have a Lurker Den that's a lot faster here in this game 3 than it was previously. So what that does mean is now Vanya, he may have what he needs to defend the incoming Storm. Notable, of course, because, well, Krystianer has not fought Storm. But with all of these charge lots and Archons, Lurkers can be good against them. It's kind of funny, right? When we were the original answer, right? When Legacy of the Void started, oh no, that's a kill, not a cancel. But when Legacy of the Void just started, right? The answer to Lurkers was Phoenix into Charizard Immortal Archon, right? It was the Pika composition. Yeah. And at low numbers, before Lurkers are, on +2, before Lurkers are, before they have their Hive upgrades, Charizard Archon Immortal, or even just Charizard Archon with some Void Rays in the sky, can actually be very, very good against this composition. Now, the Void Rays, they will not be able to take that fight with the Queen there, so they will be forced to back on off. But 3 bases, have died, and yes, we have a lair on the way. But there's a scary timing here that Krystianer can't hit. He has +1s, +2 about halfway done. We have an Warp Prism on the way. We have a bunch of Archons. So, the way any PvZ, any Protoss game works in general, maybe not PvP, but the other couple. You only build Archons, A, when you're trying to defend against a specific timing that requires Archons, or B, you're getting aggressive. So we have 6 Archons here on the map. It's Krystianer. Now it's his turn to move out on the map here. Turn to really up the taps and try to do what he did in game number 2.
Let's see if it works out for him. I mean, there's a fairly sized army for Vanya here, and Krystianer actually already moving back a little bit, waiting for the rest of his units to kind of force Vanya to respond in the main base here, and also that kind of pocket base next to the main base also going to be under pressure with some zealots. As this is unfolding here, the main battle, the Void Race moving forwards. Archon's trying to get on top of things, but that's too much Hydra firepower. As the Roaches as well help melt the Zealots. Still a lot of drones here dying as those attacks on the main and the pocket base right here kind of getting getting murdered a little bit.
No,
Slight murder there.
Oh man, the Archers are actually getting
rough.
on top of the Hydras here, right? So yeah, they're good damage, but they're just melting here. 23 workers have gone down, as you said. The third base is gonna die as well. Vanya not splitting appropriately, and Krystianer with the upset. He takes some serious